Hey, so today I'm going to be talking about Oedipus by Seneca, not to be confused with Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. Alright, so a little background on Seneca. He's born in 4 BC, and he was a tutor to the Emperor Nero. Um, he was forced to kill himself because it was thought that he was plotting to kill Nero. Um, And while he may have been innocent, yeah, they had he had to kill himself. That was in 65 AD. um, he's born in Hispania to Seneca the Elder, and around 41 AD he went into exile. And before then, we don't really know much about his life. Um, like Plautus. Um, His play, Oedipus, was not intended to be performed, but it was rather to be recited in private gatherings. It is based on the Oedipus myth, which I talked about in Oedipus Rex. I talked about the myth, but just to retouch on that. So Oedipus is married to Jocasta, who's the widow of Laius, the former king of Thebes. And before becoming king, he solved the riddle of the Sphinx and saved people from a plague. But now there's a new plague because until Laius's murder is found, there's a plague on Thebes. So Oedipus is trying to figure that out, and he thinks he's a wise man. Although I'll be talking about how his character is different in this play as compared to Oedipus Rex. He's not as prideful, I should say. So one thing you should know, Romans didn't like theater as much as the Greeks, and they didn't want to have to adopt/adapt any of the Greeks' ways of life. So, they want to enjoy theater, but at the same time, they didn't want to make it as big as the Greeks, so they mostly took their, as it was a fringe show, they would set up, do the show, and take it down. And the Romans did have their own gods who were very similar to the Greek gods. And they definitely had a lot of the same myths, as is evident in Metamorphoses by Ovid. Some of the notable productions of this play in the 1550s, there's a performance in Cambridge at the Royal National Theatre. There was one in 1969. There's an adaptation of it to post-nuclear Holocaust feature in Israel in 2005, and so on and so on. But it had a lot of influence on Jacobean and Elizabethan drama, indeed. So the play opens up with Oedipus lamenting the plague that has affected Thebes, and all these people are dying, and he mentions a prophecy that he received from Apollo before he came to Thebes, that he'd kill his dad and marry his mother. And that's why he fled the kingdom of his supposed father, Oedipus. But he's so disturbed by what's going on in Thebes that he wants to return back to his home city. But his wife, Jocasta, calms him down. So Creon comes back from the Oracle of Delphi, and he tells Oedipus that Laius' death has to be avenged. And soon after, Tiresias comes with his daughter, and he warns Oedipus to stay away from the meaning of this oracle. So he then proceeds to carry out a sacrifice. And sorry, let me get comfortable. He carries out a sacrifice, and then Creon returns from seeing Tiresias after speaking to Laius' ghost, and he's not willing to reveal Oedipus' murder. But Oedipus threatens him, and he says, "You're the killer," and Oedipus thinks that Creon made this up with Tiresias in order for Creon to seize his throne, and Oedipus has Creon arrested. So here we already see like what a difference there is in between this telling of myth, the Roman myth, and the Greek myth. How they're trying to get the same story across and tell the same kind of story, but they change certain details in order to make it their own. So Creon is arrested, and then Oedipus seems to remember who he'd killed on the road, and so this elderly messenger comes in, and he tells him that his dad, Polybus, is dead, and he says, "Come take the throne." And he fears that he's gonna go marry his mother if he goes there, so the messenger tells him that the Queen of Corinth, his supposed mother, is not really his mother, and that he was given Oedipus as a baby from a mountain. And then he ultimately learns that he's Oedipus' son. So a messenger enters and says that Oedipus considered killing himself and throwing his body to the animals, but then he thought he deserved much worse. So he's preparing a slow death. And he tears his eyes out completely, and then Jocasta kills herself, and then Oedipus leaves Thebes. So Oedipus in this play seems much more ridden with guilt than in Oedipus Rex. He's not prideful as much. He does have that determination to learn the truth, because myth is about the truth will hurt you. And he doesn't listen to anybody. But he's not as prideful. He's not as sure of himself that he's like this, like the shit. He can like figure out any curse, any riddle. So that's the main differences. And Creon doesn't take control of the play at the end. And he's arrested. So big difference there. Oedipus also kind of helps Jocasta kill herself here, whereas in Oedipus Rex he gouges his eyes out after seeing her dead. She remains kind of matronly in this way, I would say. And there is some sexual tension between them, but it's not like they make out or anything. This is it's all subtle and they're all civil. Tiresias' daughter is a new character in this play. Tiresias' calls are just much more graphic in nature. Much more graphic. And for the most part, the old man and the shepherd and the messenger, the old man is the shepherd, and the messenger, no, hold on. Old man is, let me look it up. Look at my notes. What did I write? Parallel. Okay, I wrote Phorbus. He is the parallel to the old shepherd. And the old man is parallel to the messenger. So, and then there's another messenger. So, these characters, I'd say, are pretty much the same. The chorus. The chorus, I'd say, has a smaller part in the story. They don't interact with the characters. They just serve merely as transitions and create a flow in the story. I mean, in the play. Themes. I guess the most obvious theme is powerlessness against strong external forces. That's the main theme of this play. Like, you can't escape your fate. You just can't. Guilt and revelation are also major themes. Oedipus basically becomes a victim to his own guilt as the play, his secrets slowly unravel, finding himself powerless against strong forces. I just did want to talk about some other differences between this play and Oedipus Rex. Play is much more violent, as I said. For in this play, Laius names his killer, but in Sophocles' play, Oedipus's guilt emerges as the play continues and stuff. I'd say this play is richer and at the same time denser than Oedipus Rex. There are less religious undertones and stuff like that. I do want to talk about why Romans. I think Romans were a much more barbaric culture than the Greeks in a sense. Although Greeks loved war and they glorified it on stage, they never showed violence, but Romans were different. Why? I don't know. I think it's just a cultural thing. Maybe that they were trying to do something new so they wouldn't copy the Greeks. So this play does have some striking language and is definitely deep. To me it felt boring, and it was really hard for this one without notes from other sources to read through the book and the play, because I just found it a boring read. I found it a slow read, and it was much less deep and just compact than Oedipus Rex, and to me it's like the same story, just not as good, not as well told. So yeah, that's all I have for this play. Just just realized my camera wouldn't show my mouth. Yeah. So, I will be starting on Oriental Classics tomorrow. Oh, and I plan to make a video where later on today, I'll be, talking about how the 10 plays that I've read so far, connect and relate. So, look out for that. Alright, fine.